Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the New York Open 2024. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful or interesting? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, today I'm going over my time at the New York Open that just went past. I think it was 6 rounds with nearly 50 players. So I believe the largest tournament we've had for the new edition yet. So I'll just want to go through my time there. So for the tournament basics and kill team selection, there were 6 rounds. So 3 rounds each day of 2 hours each, which I think was a good enough time. Missions were done randomly, so they were drawn each round because we have 9 of them. There was an extensive FAQ done by Travis, the TO, well, one of the main TOs. So we had an FAQ going into that because currently the game is a mess because it's been like incredibly poorly written from a competitive standpoint. Nothing balance-wise for teams. I think the main things were like they were allowing you to dash, combine a move and reposition and dash when trying to clear barricade. Well, trying to clear barricades on razor wire, but you could still place those within 2 inches of doors. And then they just had some minor clarifications, mainly going off of rules as written, with like if you disagreed and then both players wanted to use the rules as intended version, then you could, but it was down to players, and then judges would make calls based on rules as written. For myself, I was using my Legionary again because I've been playing Legionary for a while. I actually took Legionary to the New York Open last year and came 3rd, so I was kind of like, well, I'll just bring them again, probably because I'm going to use them at Worlds. But I've used them at Warhammer World, and I've been practicing them for a while, so I'll just like stick with them. So using my Alpha Legionary, which are my Legionary from my Alpha Legion based on my Horus Heresy army, and with some models converted up for Kill Team. So let's get into it. So for round 1, I was on Vulcus, which was nice. We were actually playing, I think, I can't remember the mission because there's so many now, but I was into Nemesis Claw. So this time I had taken a Khorne Icon Bearer because he gives me +1 CP every game, well, every turning point, Nurgle Anointed, Tzeentch Balefire, Slaanesh Shrive Talon, Tzeentch Gunner, and Slaanesh Chosen. So I had that. I basically had every mark. So a full mix, because I like the variation of it. It's something like Nemesis Claw has been a weird matchup for me, so it's something I was testing out. I think we were playing Upload. I think it was that. But effectively, my opponent made a big mistake by moving his Ventriloquist first. So his Ventriloquist repositioned and dashed on the right-hand side behind that heavy cover. And then effectively, because of that, I was allowed to stage up. So I was able to get into the setup safely on the mid. I pushed up my Melter Gun and Leader on the left-hand side. Shrive Talon pushed up the mid. The Anointed went into the building by the door. My Icon went onto the point, and my Psyker went on that vantage point, just on the edge, so I could charge off. Then I did win initiative, and then in the start of turning point 2, because I had 1 initiative, he had put his heavy bolter instead of the top point on his left-hand building. He had moved it quite close to the edge. But because I had a Slaanesh Shrive Talon, he literally charged up the building because he was charged 9 inches, fought and killed his heavy gunner, so I eliminated that. Then my heavy gunner did die in return from shooting, which from the Melter Gunner, which was kind of expected. But then because his Melter Gunner was spent, I then sent up my Psyker into his Ventriloquist. Well, I blasted his Melter Gun down to like, well, actually, I think I blasted him off the board. But then with the Fire Blast, because I just rolled like 3 crits and a hit, and then he didn't make any saves because he made 2 saves, but could only block the crit or the hit, and then just got obliterated. And then I charged and fought his Ventriloquist and managed to bring down his Ventriloquist to some wounds. Then my Icon basically secured me the mid, my bottom right objective. My Anointed went Hulk mode, charged and killed his Skin Thief, but it kind of brought me down to a lot of wounds. My Chosen actually did some interesting stuff. So while my Melter Gunner did kill his Poison dude, because we were playing Upload actually, he had no one on his middle point, and I'd taken Secure Center. So what I did is at the end of turning point 2, I had my Leader on the center. Well, not my Leader, my Anointed on the center, and then I also had my Melter Gunner getting the center line while my Leader ran onto the Poison objective, took damage, but then uploaded onto that. So I had uploaded 1 on his, none on the middle, and then 1 on mine. Then winning initiative, I just stayed in the building, uploading again to get more points. And then I was actually losing a lot. So he was killing stuff. The only issue is he wasn't killing enough too quickly. And it basically came down to the end of turning point 3 where I had my melter gun and leader left and he just had his leader left. So I won initiative. He vox screened my melter. My leader repositioned and dashed onto the middle point, overcharged my plasma onto his 9-wound leader, and then basically got 2 crits and a hit. But because I had punishing up, that turned into a hit. He made no saves and died. But the interesting thing, if he won initiative, he probably would have charged my melter, killed my melter, and then plasma pistoled me, which might have killed my Sanesh leader because he was only on 9 wounds. So very close there, despite the score. So the score, because I had 2 on the center, 2 on the mid, well, 2 on the mid for upload, 2 on his objective and 2 on mine. I basically got 6 on the primary. And then I maxed my tack up because I was able to secure center and the center line. And then the kill up I maxed. So I actually got, I think, almost a full game here. So like in terms of 20 points out of 21. But that was, no, it was 21. So I got 21 points, but it was very, very fun. Then after lunch, I was on Vulcus. And this time I was against Angels of Death. So for this matchup, I took Nurgle Shrive Talon, Tzeentch Melter Gun, Nurgle Chosen, Nurgle Icon, Nurgle Anointed, and Tzeentch Balefire. So I had 4 Nurgle and 2 Tzeentch. Just because I was expecting a lot of AP1. He actually took the Captain, 3 Assault Intercessors with the Grenadier, then a normal Bolt Gun Warrior, and then the Heavy Gunner, so the Heavy Bolter. And effectively, this time I chose Take Ground because it was effectively fighting over the middle. So what I did is, with a reposition dash, I then moved my my Shrive Talon onto the point, gave him the 2-up armor save, put my Grizzly Mark, and then just was like, because we're playing Sabotage. So I was like, he basically can't sabotage this point. And then I was like, I'll just control the mid. I had my Psyker just hiding in the big fortress, and then everything else moved up. Turning point 2, so you can see I've put 2 ladders in the middle of that, well, next to on my side of that Vulcus building. Partly because it means I only have to spend an inch to climb over that wall instead of 2, but also means I can get easily onto the vantage point. And effectively, I'd won initiative and he had accidentally given me a double charge. So my Chosen charged into his Grenadier and Assault Marine. And first attack, he decided to pop his Tilting Shields because I rolled 2 crits, 2 hits, but they were 2 5-up crits. So he made 4 hits. He managed to knock me, even though I struck with I managed to basically hit him down to 2 wounds. He hit me for 4. Then I fought again, killed him immediately with the crit, doing 8 damage, and then fully healed myself. But he had burned his Tilting Shields for the turning point, so then he pulled back his Captain to get him out of charge range. But then I noticed, because of the ladder, because I'd moved my Melter Gun up by the terrain wall, I could dash to the ladder, then move up and just get within 6 to shoot his readied Heavy Intercessor. So I did that. I got a crit and 2 hits, but because I had Punishing because of Fickle Fates and I was Tzeentch, that turned into a crit and 3 hits. And basically, because he has 18 wounds, 3 hits, normal hits anyway, will do 18. So because I got a crit and 3 hits, he was just immediately dead. So I managed to already kill 1 guy and another one else. He did move up one of his warriors, his gunner, with the grenade launcher and bolt gun, and managed to bring my Shrive Talon down to 3 wounds because of his 2-up save. But by that point, I'd already pushed through too much. His Captain had managed to kill my Captain, but I had swung through too much, and then I managed to secure the point with the midline. He accidentally moved his operative with a counteract too far forward to touch the wall of the top right of my building. So then my Anointed switched to engage, charge, and killed the other Assault Intercessor. And then by then I was basically in too much of a dominating position. I used the Balefire to bring down the guy who was next to my Assault Intercessor, or next to my Shrive Talon, and then my Shrive Talon just charged and immediately killed him. And then he did counteract to kill my Shrive Talon with his Plasma Pistol, but by the end of turning point 3, he was wiped out. I couldn't get into a position to sabotage his point, but I did manage to stop his contain. So I got 2 on contain and then 2 for controlling his own objective for sabotage. Well, I maxed sabotage, and then I got max for stronghold. Didn't max the kill up. So I managed to get 20 points there. But it was very fun and interesting. I actually haven't played Angels of Death too much into my Legionary, but I don't think they have a chance at the moment because I just turned off all his piercing with my Nurgle operatives and just pushed too far up. Then in game 3, I was on stream, so this was against Blooded on, I believe this was secure. I can't remember the mission this time, but effectively, no, I think it was this was upload. It was one of the boot points. It wasn't loot because I remember when I played loot. And effectively, once again, I had gone Nurgle on mostly everyone. I'd taken a Tzeentch Gunner, Tzeentch Melter Gun, and a Tzeentch Balefire, and then same loadout as last time. What I did, I managed to, turning point 1, get my Shrive Talon onto the point, well, near the point, and then popped my Grizzly Trophy to cover it. So it was covering the whole point. I think we were actually playing secure. But I moved my Anointed down the right-hand flank, which you can't really fully see. And then I had moved everyone else to touch the building. He had taken the Ogrin and the Enforcer and all other specialists, so I was kind of like, that's why I took the Melter Gun to punish the Ogrin. So turning point 2, he won initiative, he had his Thug on the point and then charged my Melter Gun. So he got 2 hits through, doing 8 damage to bring me down to 6, but my Melter Gun had blades, so with his 5 attacks he murdered the Thug. And then I was like, okay, with a reposition and dash, my Chosen is on the objective, on my left-hand side, he can reposition and dash, fight the Ogrin, because the Ogrin hasn't activated yet because he's next to the door. So I did that. I got a crit and 2 hits. With Relentless and hitting on 4s, he only got 2 hits. And then I spent a CP to reroll my miss into a crit. And then from there, it was like he was statistically dead. Because I strike with a normal damage for 5. Because it's 4 + 1, 5 because of Blood for the Blood God. He can't then parry anything. So then it's like he hits me for 5, which I didn't downgrade because I didn't roll a 5 up with Nurgle. Then I blocked his last hit and then did 14 more damage, which then immediately killed him. And then I healed 5 wounds back, so I went up to full 5 wounds. Immediately lost his big threat, and then it was just kind of like, I was like, phew, because I was expecting his first activation for that Ogrin to charge and basically kill my Shrive Talon, but it didn't happen. And then I was just effectively able to stage up from there. Like I think he moved his medic on the top right onto the point. Couldn't capture it because of my Grizzly Mark. And then what I did, I activated my Icon who capped the point and then charged and fought his Butcher on the left-hand side. And then his Butcher rolled no crits and then I just murdered him. Well, he did roll 1 crit, but because I rolled a crit first, I blocked him. And then he got 1 hit doing 3 damage and then I just murdered him. And then I charged my Anointed around onto the point. No, I charged my Shrive Talon in between his Shadow Fighter and Medic, killed his Medic to give his his Knife Fighter -1 APL, but then he shot his Sniper into combat because I forgot about that and almost killed my Shrive Talon. And then eventually by the end of turning point 2, he managed to kill my Shrive Talon, but my Anointed had managed to charge into the fray and like stage. Well, he moved up, so he was like on the right hand side. Then turning point 3, he won initiative, charged and immediately killed my Melter Gunner, but then my Anointed just pushed up through basically because I put my Anointed actually on the top of the building, so he dropped down, killed the Enforcer, and then because I was within 2 inches of the Melter Gun, I spent 1 CP because he's Nurgle to have piercing 1 on his bolt gun, because for some reason Nurgle operatives, well, Anointed can shoot while in demon mode. And then because I had punishing up, I rolled a crit and 2 hits, would turn to a crit and 3 hits, and with 2 5-up saves, his Melter Gun died. And then basically was just pushing up from there. So by the end of the game, I had maxed Take Ground, because Take Ground I'd managed to get on turning point 2 points with the middle objective, the middle terrain piece and the right-hand terrain piece. And then from turning point 3 onwards, my Chosen was inside his building. So I was getting 3 points because I charged kill the sniper. And then like anyone who was going into there was dying. So I got that. And then I managed to get 6 on their primary. So the only thing I did max the kill up as well, because I managed to kill everyone, I think. And then basically, yeah, it was like, what happened was my dice were really great. Like my leader took a crack, went down to 5 damage, charged inside the building, killed the Blooded sniper, and then immediately went back up to 4 wounds. Because originally I was thinking about taking the Aspiring Champion, but the Blooded do so much chip damage that the Chosen is better in my opinion, because then you heal all the chip damage you do, what they do to you. So he was having this problem where when he was getting shots, everyone who was trying to shoot was ignoring piercing 1. I'd killed his melter, so his plasma wasn't doing much, and then I was just immediately healing back up. Shrive Talon did his thing, disrupting the objective, because then he had to choose either to give +1 APL to the melter or offensive pieces, or try and get the point, and he went for his offensive pieces. So yeah, it was actually quite tough. It just didn't really reflect in the score, but a fun game nonetheless. So then after day 1, Dylan was at the top with his Halfkin salvages because he got 20, 21, 21. Then it was me with 21, 20, 19. So I'd managed to go that. Then it was Ryan with his novitiates, George with his warp coven, Shane with his novitiates, Jason with his phobos, Matt with his hierotech, and Sean with his legionary. And oddly, I was the only undefeated legionary after day 1. But then we had some nice chilling New York relaxation, and then we played on for round 4 in day 2, and I was back on the stream. So this time, what were we playing? We were playing. It was the coordinates one, Power Surge. There we go. So this time, once again, I had gone Nurgle Icon Bearer, Tzeentch Sorcerer, Nurgle Anointed, Nurgle Shrive Talon, Melter Gun with Tzeentch, and then Nurgle Chosen. So I was expecting an Alpha Strike here, because I kind of know how half can work. So what I did reposition dash to get into the mid, with the scouting option, then Shrive Talon with the 2-up armor save, moved onto the mid and put my Grizzly Mark, just to go like, this is mine. Then I moved my Icon into my right-hand objective, Psyker up onto the building, and like my Anointed moved to the left-hand side where that the 3+, well, the attack order was. My leader moved just out of range of it, and then what happened was he left his high-las rotary cannon in the middle of his top left building in the open, obscured, and I was like, I'm just going to shoot it. So last activation of mine, I moved out, shot it, got 4 hits, going down to 3 hits. He made 2 saves, so then he went down to 4 wounds. His blaster gunner moved up onto the vantage, managed to get 1 crit through, which knocked me down, 1 hit through, which knocked me down to 10 wounds. Then I counteracted and killed his high-las rotary. So immediately I killed one of his big threats. You can see the 2 ladders I posted there because his rail rifle was near one of those ladders. And then he was like, oh, you can counteract to like get into the open, but then like you're not going to be, you're just going to be in the open, so you probably won't do that. And then I was like, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I counteracted my Anointed into the open, so he's 1 inch away from the ladder, because I knew I was in threat range of his grenade. So it has saturate, so there was actually no need, because he could get within 2 inches. So I was like, there's no need for me to be within that building. He did manage to reposition dash and crack my leader, but I failed like all my saves bar 1. So he managed to push through like 10 damage. Then I lost initiative, and then he used his second crack grenade to kill my leader, charged my gunner and killed him with the power weapon. So I was like, that's fine. And then I was like, okay, so he's got his engaged gunner on the roof and then his rail rifle. So my Anointed really immediately charged up onto the building, killed his rail rifle. Then his gunner moved to the edge because he couldn't drop down and shot my Anointed, which brought him down to 7 wounds. And then I was like, oh, his grenade launcher, like his grenadier, is by my heavy terrain piece near my objective. So Psyker shot his gunner to death on the roof. Then I charged his grenadier and killed him without taking any damage. So immediately I'd killed another 2 threats. Then he tried to move around with his medic to shoot my Shrive Talon, which didn't really do anything. And then, I actually shot the medic after. And then basically I just kind of pushed up. I power surged because I was going second, my own objective, and controlled that. And then I just kept my Shrive Talon in the center because I controlled more objectives. Well, actually I didn't need to. Yeah. So my Shrive Talon then shot and killed the medic and then charged his gunner who had dropped off, and then managed to kill those 2 in 2 activations. And then like he tried to shoot my Psycho and did no damage. His Locator tried to shoot my Shrive Talon and did no damage. And then by that point, I had managed, while he'd gotten plant beacons, I'd power surged and controlled the power surged objective, so I got 2 VP. And then he won initiative for turning point 3, chose his objective to be power surged. I popped like no injury aura again and ignoring piercing. So my anointed was on 7 wounds and his leader was on 3 APL. So he plasma pistoled me up. I was like, well, you've got 1 hit, auto retain, save. And then instead of charging me because his leader would be hitting on 4s, he then just moved back. So then I immediately activated, charged and killed his 4 wound comms, and then charged. His leader rolled no hits, even with the reroll, killed his leader. So now I secured his building. His jump pack where I couldn't move up. He tried shooting my Psycho, knocked him down to 5 wounds. Then my Psycho shot back into his Cognitar, managed to heal myself back up to 5, and then I bolt pistoled him to death, and then moved up. Shrive Talon then like survived the locator, killed the locator, and then I just like stayed on my objectives because effectively I controlled his power surge objective and I controlled more objectives, so I got 2 again. And then winning initiative turning point 4, I let him go because I'd killed everyone apart from his jump pack warrior. And then even though he had managed to get 4 points on his tac op and 2 on the primary, he had stopped my tac ops and primary because I should have gone take ground instead of contain. But I'd managed to get 5 points on the kill op and 6 points on the primary, where he'd only managed to get 1 point on the kill op, and then 4 points on his tac op, and then 2 on the primary. So I managed to win that because basically I think once this team has like done its alpha strike, it doesn't really have much left. And to be fair, I probably could have gone away with not pushing up. I just wanted to threaten their building. So I managed to set up too many threats. But otherwise, yeah, that was a fun game and managed to win that one. Then for round 5, I was against George. So this is Warp Coven. I've played Warp Coven before, but it was my first time on Galadark in ages. So I was like, ooh. So this time I went Tzeentch Melter Gunner, Slaanesh Shrive Talon, Nurgle Anointed, Slaanesh Icon, Slaanesh Chosen, and Tzeentch Sorcerer. I'd taken 2 light barricades to put 1 on my objective and 1 on the mid, and then I'd taken 2 stun grenades, along with my 2-up armor save and Chaos Talisman. George had put his Razor Wire on his middle point, on his right hand point there, and then 2 barricades, and then his sorcerer stuff. We both agreed, actually, not to put stuff within 2 inches of at hatchway points and stuff, because we were like, you know, I was like, well, I'm happy not to if you are. And he was like, yeah. So we're already off to a really good game. And effectively, he was going first, so I managed to stage up. I mispositioned my Chosen, which I only realized after. I should have put my Chosen on the right of my icon, so then I would have actually been in range of the door end of turning point 1, so I couldn't do that safely. And then I had the choice to end my anointed within charge range of one of his flamethrowers, but I chose to hide behind the heavy cover instead, and I should have just gone into the open, because then he won initiative, which I was hoping to, and then give it to him, but he gave it to me, and then I had no real threat. So what I should have done is done that. And then because I actually made another mistake, I should have taken a light barricade instead of the stuns. So a portable barricade, so then I could have set up in the right-hand room, or even like not put my barricade on the central point, should have put on the right-hand side. And then effectively, I was now in a position where, I should have been more aggressive turning point 1. Now I can't really do much turning point 2. So then I just started moving stuff up. I managed to get take ground with my 2 access points on the left-hand side. And then he did manage to just kill my anointed with his sorcerer, moving his sorcerer into the open. Turning point 3, he won initiative again. And then this time he managed to burn my icon. But I got very lucky. But this was kind of like the beginning of the end of my luck, where his sorcerer, flamethrower got 3 hits the first time, and I saved 1. And I saved 2, and then he shot again. He got 2 hits, and then I made no saves. So I took my icon was down to like 4 wounds. So immediately I had to activate him to fall back. Then it was just kind of like chip, because I couldn't get, because I had no safe place to stage on the right hand side apart from that door. I couldn't really move up fully, so I had to like kind of open the door. I should have opened the door turning point 1. I don't know why I didn't. And then it was kind of staging. So what I did is I got turning point 3, end of turning point 3, opened the door, charged his rubric, and I was like, this rubric will die. And then I got a very poor roll, left him on 2 wounds, and he just blocked me out. Then I was like, okay, he didn't, on a free up, he doesn't fall back. And I was like, cool, it's fine. And then I rolled a 1, so he then fell back, and then I just got shot down to 4 wounds. And I was like, okay. Then I finally won initiative turning point 4. And I was like, okay, this is the play. I've killed 1 sorcerer with the melter gun on the right-hand side, and I've got my Shrive Talon on the point. All I need to do is win initiative. His sorcerer, because he didn't have action points. He didn't have CP for the ignore piercing. So he had a sorcerer on 4 wounds and then a rubric on 2 wounds. So I'd killed 2 guys. He had killed 3, and he had killed 2 as well. So I was like, okay, 1 initiative, move through the door, melter gun you. So I've burnt all my CP, but I've got punishing and severe up. This should work. Then I rolled 2 hits, and I was like, I'll turn 1 into a crit and get 3 hits. He made 1 save, took 7 damage. Then I was like, okay, I could bolt pistol and kill the sorcerer, but I really need to kill that flamethrower. And I was like, okay, I should get 3 hits. He's ready. I'll get a crit because of Tzeentch and go into punishing. Only rolled 2 hits again. No CP left. Turned into 3 hits, and he made 2 saves. Well, 3 saves. He made a crit and 2 normal saves. And that was kind of it, because like he just then used his rubric on the right to kill my Shrive Talon and just secure that point, because we were playing upload this time. And then I was like, okay, sorcerer charges in, killed one of his rubrics, and then healed my sorcerer back up, my chosen back up. Then he was just like, okay, you've got 7 wounds left. And he was like, yeah. So he killed my sorcerer, because my sorcerer rolled no crits and was like almost mauled to death by his sorcerer. I should have pushed through the crits to just like damage to just kill his sorcerer. But then his sorcerer was like, okay, I've got 2 crits and a hit. You've got 3 crits. And he's like, yep. So I was like, strike you for a crit. And he's like, sorcerer's robes. So he took 4 damage. So he's down to 2. Then killed my killed my leader. And then at that point, all I could do was just kind of stall. So like because I had 3 points on my objective, I charged my icon, charged into his rubric to tie him up, and then effectively fought him and only brought him down to 5 wounds. And then that was the end of the game. So oddly, despite how much I only had like 2 models left, by the end of the game, he had uploaded 4, I had uploaded 3. So I managed to get 3 on the primary, he managed to get 4. He managed to get 4 in his tack up, I managed to get 4. And then because of the kill up, he was 1 kill grade ahead. He won by 2. So if like, it was really, it was really depressing, because like I did all the right plays, and then like, it was a really fun game. George was like, just apologizing for my bad dice. And I was like, look, it happens. Like it would have been nice to make some more successful saves and attacks, but at least like I knew I made the right moves, and it was just the dice. Because you know what happens, you know, even when you've got all your dice fixing and stuff, when you just don't roll enough hits, there's not much you can do. And I did get pretty lucky when my icon survived his double flamer throwing, but then nothing else worked. But it was a really fun game, super, super close. And as I said, even with my bad dice rolling, if my melter gun had actually killed his leader, well, killed his sorcerer and then killed his rubric, I actually would have won the game, because then I would have gone ahead by 2. I'd have been able to control the mid. Then he would have had to like try and kill the melter gun instead of like trying to kill my Shrive Talon, because what my Shrive Talon would have done is then charged, killed him, and then like secured that point. So it was like still super close, and I still think like it's a very tight game, but it was nice because I had a really fun experience. And yeah, unfortunately I did lose by 2, but it was a close loss. Then on round 6, I was on Beta Decima, because this event was using Beta Decima. They were using light objectives, which helped slightly, and Travis had redesigned some of the layouts to make them like less toxic. But I was playing loot into Wormblade. So this time I'd taken Nurgle Shrive Talon, Nurgle Icon, Tzeentch Melter Gunner, which was a mistake, Slanesh Chosen, Aspiring Champion, with Power Weapon and Plasma Gun. Then I'd taken Nurgle Anointed and Tzeentch Balefire. So I'd taken 2 ladders, 2 smokes, and 2 barricades. So I repositioned dashed up my repositioned scouting option up my Shrive Talon. He dropped onto the middle point, and then I was like, okay, I repositioned because I'm 7 onto that middle point, drop my Grizzly Mark, and then I'll spend a CP to make that guy on the point -1 APL. Then just proceeded to stage, moved my Balefire over to the middle point, and then basically, I tried to get everyone up onto the gantry's turning point 1, apart from the melter gunner and an icon on the right. Because of not being able to combine reposition and dashes with climbing, you actually can't really, like, if you don't get onto a gantry in one turning point, you can't then get onto the next level, the next turning point. So I made sure to get 4 of my operatives onto either the main building or the second gantry. Then he had deployed 2 of his guys on the right hand side, and then I managed to win initiative. So my icon, my plan was to like smoke cap and then go ahead, but then what I did, I was like, well, he can't physically take the center point from me, so what I'll do is I charged, killed his icon. Because I could climb over, I charged his icon and warrior, and then did -1 APL on his warrior. So his warrior was on 1 APL, and I'd killed him, and then I'd fought that guy down to 3 wounds. So then he immediately activated those 2 warriors on the point. That one just passed, and the other one tried to fight me, and I was like, I'm not killing you. You need to keep me alive so your sniper doesn't kill me. Then my Shrive Talon popped the point, charged him, and then just held, because I was like, no, I'm safe, just need to stay in combat. No, he actually dropped another operative down, I think, after that. So then I charged, killed, no, yeah, I just charged into the point and basically hugged it. So the end of turning point 2, I managed to get, because he sent everyone down towards my lines on the left-hand side, and I was like, oh, he thinks I've taken contain. So we both managed to get 1 on the primary, and then I've revealed, like, okay, he got 2 on implant, and then I was like, well, I've killed 5 guys this turn, so I get 1 on the kill up, and then also I'll reveal a take ground. So because I control the center, I like 1, and he was like, oh no, because he'd sent way too many guys down my lines, and he'd also sent his Kellamorph instead of up on the building to his right hand side, because turning point 2, I'd managed to kill like his leader, his Weber, icon, and then like 2 other normal guys. So I'd like killed a lot. Turning point 3, I won initiative. This time I killed his guy, switching to conceal, secured the point, and then just moved away 7 inches because I'm Slanesh. So I'd secured that side, managed to loot again on the middle, and then last activation, he had his grenade launcher and normal warrior within an inch of the gantry, but the normal warrior wasn't in cover. So I moved 7 down, dropped, and then overcharged my plasma pistol. Just managed to kill his warrior, so I controlled that building, then dashed up and dropped a smoke because I went to +1 APL. Then he won initiative. He immediately sent his Kellamorph to burn my objective and try and kill my melter gun, which failed, turning point 4. So then I was like, oh, I have a charge here, because he like dashed his grenade launcher onto the objective. So because I have a 9-inch dash with a 1-inch drop, I charged off the building onto the point, killed his guy, went to +1 APL, just like, okay, I'm 4 APL, just loot your point. So then I managed to loot my middle point, and then I managed to secure my gantry again and another one of his gantries in the middle, because there were 2 huge touching gantries. And then effectively I managed to go 6 on the crit op, I managed to go 5 on the kill op, and then 5 on the tac op, and my primary was the tac op, so I got 3 points there. So I managed to win that one. I think it was like 19-14. So I managed to win that. It was really tough. Like, my opponent was very good, but also I hate Beta Decima. But I have played Beta Decima a few times with my Legionary, so it's kind of like I knew what to do. That layout helped. I mean, I really should have just taken a heavy gunner, because my melter gun did nothing all game. All he was there was just like trying to threaten the heavy barricade. I should have just taken Nurgle heavy gunner with like heavy bolter and just like sat him somewhere safe. But you know, it's Beta Decima, what can you do? So for the tournament overview, after that I was still the only Legionary player with 5 wins and 1 loss. I think there was another Legionary on 4 wins, 2 losses, but these are the final placings because they were using with tiebreakers. They were using primary as a tiebreaker, which personally I don't think the primary op is good at the moment as the primary tiebreaker, because a lot of teams can just cheese the primary, such as with like if they've got reliable ways to score 6 tac ops, which a lot of teams do. I personally prefer win percentage, but it is what it is. So George, he came first with his Walk Coven, went fully undefeated. He actually got max points in his last game. I was his toughest, because it's the British way, because George is British but lives in Canada. And then Dylan came second because he got the highest primary out of us all. Then it was Mike with his Mike with his Inquisitorial Agents, Shane with his Novitiates. Then it was me with Legionary in 5th, Jason with his Phobos in 6th, Sean with his Legionary in 7th, and Ryan with his Novitiates in 8th. So kind of disappointed I didn't manage to get a 3rd place again, because it would have been like 2 years in a row 3rd place, but I was still happy with my result, because the main reason I'd came to the New York Open, because it's really fun. You should go to the New York Open because there's going to be another one next year. But it's mainly for practice, because obviously there's practice for Worlds. So I actually really learned a lot, and I was discussing with some of the players, like, even though like we didn't win, because we already had our golden tickets. So for the top 8, the only people who didn't have golden tickets in the top 8 was basically Jason. So it was basically 1 to 5 already had golden tickets. There were 4 other people with golden tickets. Technically, there were, I think, 12 golden tickets at the event, because Shane has 3, I have 2, everyone else had 1. So it was kind of like golden tickets everywhere. So Jason got the golden ticket, but it was really fun. I had a lot of good experiences. It was really good for practice. Like I was still umming and ahhing between another like faction, but I'm kind of like, I think I'll stick with Legionary because I'm quite confident with them, and they obviously are very good. And despite how like rubbish the meta is, everyone was really chill. It was a lot of fun, really well run event. Like, you know, Adrian was one of the co-TOs along with Travis, and like the rest of the New York staff were really good. They had like snacks available. This was technically a better venue than last year because it was bigger, more space, whereas last year was more like around Union Square. This was like Upper East Side. But apart from the location being a bit distant, it was still good for New York. More the tubes, like the subway system. But, you know, technically, I think that was my 4th time in New York in a year. So who knows? Who knows what? I'm definitely going to be at the New York Open next year. It was just really a lot of fun. And it's interesting. It kind of went as we expected. Like, I thought, I mean, I know people are surprised at Novitiates, but, like, Novitiates are, like, one of the most broken teams at the moment. And, like, Shane plays them really well. So I wasn't surprised to see, like, Shane up there. I was surprised to see a 2nd Novitiates. But I think people are really underestimating Novitiates because they just like don't die effectively. But like Jason did really well. It's like he managed to just go ahead on Shane. So he managed to like get the golden ticket. So it's really interesting. I think if I lost my game, Jason wouldn't have got the golden ticket. So it's like it was interesting. It's like those weird mathematics. But George played a really good event, really solid. I think he managed to beat Novitiates because he went 3 sorcerers and 6 rubrics. No, 3 sorcerers and 6 angles, which seems like a good counter into Novitiates. But just really fun. Like, it was really cool. And I'd highly recommend going to the New York Open if you haven't before. It's just so much fun. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video and if you found it useful or interesting. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, affiliate link at Crossfire Games, and a discount code there, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my Adepts of the Crit, I have Zombie Businessman, Tom, Super Cow, Stephen, Sam, Professor, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, John Thomas, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meatswell, Darcy, Dad of Golden's, Chris, and then for my Veterans of the Crit, I have Sam, Jer, and Mark. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, New York Open was really fun. Managed to meet a lot of people, like patrons and non-patrons. It was like really cool. Everyone was like nice. Managed to take a lot of photos. Everyone was like, it's just nice. Everyone was really cool. Like, the venue was a school, by the way, and like New York schools are pretty fancy. We have nothing on them in the UK, but it was like really fun experience, and I had such a good time. I also managed to get a lot of sleep, which was really good. Oddly, I have a tournament this week, and I might have a tournament the week after, and then I'm at Worlds. So let's see, 5 tournaments in a row. Why not? Let's go. Who needs rest? But remember, no matter how many times you play in New York, there's always a chance to win as long as you can roll a crit.